What's up everybody, it's Nam from NV Auto here, and today I'm just going to talk about my daily driver and something we're going to do on the channel here. So start off, this is my 2013 BRZ. My daily driver, that's why it's all dirty right now. I do try to drive it every day. I don't drive it in the winter time because I like to keep it clean. I've had Subarus in the past where they've rusted a lot, so I kind of don't like to drive my Subarus in the winter time, even though some of them are nice with the all-wheel drive. But this one, I like to keep it as clean as possible. It's only got 67,000 kilometers right now. I bought it at 58,000 kilometers. I probably put about 2,000 kilometers on it this year with the pandemic and all that stuff. But I really don't drive it that often, but I try to like to keep it clean. So I'll talk about all the mods that are done on the car, and I'll show you what we have. So if you've seen the Speed Academy channel, you'll see that they've actually did some work on my car, which afterwards I had to fix to make it actually run right. But they did hook me up with some Tanabe coilovers, and which I've set I like to set my ride height not too low on these cars. I've got about 1-inch wheel gap all the way around, so the travel is nice and the wheels don't rub on cornering. These wheels I've got some fast FC wheels. These are the wheels that we've actually got sponsored on one of our drift cars. So I've got some matching wheels for that. Nothing too blingy. I don't like to spend too much money on wheels. Sometimes they do get curbed. Unfortunately, I don't curb these ones, but I just got some basic wheels and tire setup. And the headlights, I did have to change the headlights on this, and they are just some cheap eBay headlights. I couldn't really afford the factory headlights when I had to replace them. As you can see, the clear coat's peeling off of them, but they still work at night. So the only cosmetic exterior mod I did was a spoiler delete. I didn't like the way the factory spoiler looked on the BRZ, so I bought another trunk lid and we did a delete with the body shop. And the other thing we did too was the Valenti sequential tail lights. I thought they look amazing from all the pictures I've seen, so it's literally the only body mod that I've done on the car. So the other thing Speed Academy hooked me up with was with a hooker exhaust. It actually sounds really nice with the resonator in it. It's not too loud, it doesn't drone when you're driving on the highway. So I actually didn't want to do an exhaust on this, but they've hooked it up and it was actually really nice sound, so I decided to keep it. So engine bay wise, nothing fancy. Speed Academy hooked me up with the Grid Speed belt guard and the Grid Speed airbox. I didn't really feel any major power gain from it, but it does change the tone of the engine a little bit. So all in all, I really like this car. I love the styling. I love the way it looks. It actually drives really nice. It's nice and comfortable with this, with the Tanabe coilovers. I don't have it set it too stiff. And I actually really enjoy driving this car. The only thing I don't like about this car, it is way too slow. I know a lot of BRZ FRS and GT86 owners out there can relate with me. The 2-liter is nice on this. It sounds really good, but it is way too slow. So next step for me was to mod it. You've seen in our drift cars, we put 2JZs in it. We've had other drift cars that we've built with LS swaps in it. Unfortunately, I like to keep this one clean and I don't want to do any mods on it. So I went out and bought another one. So another 2013 BRZ. Bought this one with a blown engine. And a little history on it, the previous owner told me that Subaru actually performed valve spring recall on it. And as many of you know out there, the valve spring recall can cause a catastrophic failure of the engine, and that's what I believe it is. We'll start it up and we'll see if we can hear the noise that we were hearing earlier. We did get it to make the noise a little bit when we had it inside the shop, but I started it up this morning and it seems to sound pretty good. As you can hear, it actually doesn't sound too bad. When we had it initially in the shop, it was actually pretty loud. It sounded like you're hitting a hammer on a metal door. But we changed the oil into some Motul 540, so maybe it's fixed itself. Maybe after this I'll go give it a good drive, and if it blows up, it blows up. If it doesn't blow up, maybe I'll drive for a couple more days before we do something with it. As you can see, the engine is bone stock, so this is actually a really good body and a really good shell for something I want to do with the car. I want to make a little bit more horsepower, the BRZ. With this one, with being a little bit higher mileage than my car, I'm not afraid of cutting things up, changing some wiring stuff around. But this one is bone stock. It's got stock brakes, stock wheels, stock everything, which is going to be really nice. So in the past, like I've said, we've done some 2J stuff, done some LS swaps. There's a lot of options out there. But one thing I actually really want to do is put an EJ in it. So for an EJ, I actually have another car which we're going to use the drivetrain out of and swap into the BRZ. So this is a 02 WRX that we've actually swapped the version 7 into about 10 years ago. This customer brought his 02 bone stock WRX to us, and we actually gave it a little bit more power, put a 6-speed in it, put some Brembos on it, some wheels, and made it fast for him. I'm not sure if you can actually hear the BRZ is actually picking up some noise right now. We'll go back to it and we'll see if you guys can actually hear it on video. So as you can hear, the engine is actually starting to clack away now. I'm actually thinking it's actually the timing belt tensioner. It's a hydraulic tensioner on these things. And what I believe is that after they've done the recall on this, they might have had too much sealant inside the engine, which might have accumulated into the oil pump and causing a failure of oil pressure. And the noise actually goes away when you rev it up, so I don't think it's rod knock, or I don't think it's anything mechanical other than the timing belt tensioner. See?
That's so crazy.
See, and then the pressure dies down, and then it gets worse and worse. See? So I actually bought this car last year off of a customer of ours. Unfortunately, he didn't really get to enjoy it too much with the new version 7 swap. And I think since we've swapped it about 10 years ago, he's probably put maybe at most 5,000 kilometers on it. And I mean, you can see that it's not driven a lot, so the body's really nice on it, but unfortunately the brake lines have failed on this and rust has accumulated underneath the car. I believe he's parked the car on gravel, over a gravel driveway for way too long. So underneath the car you can see a lot of the rust, so it's really not worth reviving the shell. When I bought it, I didn't even know what I was going to put it into. I was going to buy another Subaru shell, possibly put it into that, but it kind of has been sitting for a year. We had the big move last year, we've been really busy here, so now we've got plans to hopefully put this into a BRZ. We've never actually put an EJ into a BRZ yet. I've heard that it's been done out there, but I don't know measurement wise how it's going to fit, what we need to do. So it's going to be a big challenge for us at NV Auto, but I believe that we should be able to get it up and running. So these are the version 7 wheels that we put on this car when we initially did the swap. And as you can see, these tires are actually 10 years old. We actually slapped these on the car for the customer when we first did the swap. And you can see the, I guess you'd call this dry rot, but these tires are actually ready to explode. We've had this car sitting in our parking lot since February, and with the summer heat, it's actually gotten worse and worse. You can see with the Brembo rotors how without them being driven, they start to rust away. You get a little bit of brake dust on there, a little bit of rust building up on these fenders here. So there are a couple of really good components on this car that we can still use for our other drift cars for spares, but the shell and everything else on it is not really worth fixing. So this is a version 7 2-liter that we swapped into this car, and you can see that we started already pillaging some parts off of it. The car's actually been sitting since February in the parking lot here just to store my parts. My plan is to take this out of the car, clean it up, put some new gaskets on it, reseal everything, get everything looking good for us to swap into the BRZ. So with this in the BRZ, you could think of some challenges that we might face right now. Electronic wise, we haven't actually tried to put a swap BRZ on the street yet, so that's going to be some challenge. So we've done all the swap BRZs that we've done in the past have been drift cars, so you don't need the electronics. We've always ran, aftermarket ECUs and aftermarket clusters. So we're going to try to get the cluster to work on the stock BRZ. Most likely we're going to keep it rear-wheel drive. I would like to try to utilize the factory transmission on the BRZ, see what we need to do to adapt this engine onto there. If not, we're going to make this transmission rear-wheel drive. Electronic-wise, that'll probably be our biggest hurdle, to see what we need to do to make all the electronics work on the BRZ properly without getting into too much wiring. I like to try to keep it as stock as possible, try to keep it as simple as possible. Might have to run a standalone ECU to run this, but other than that, we're gonna have to see what we're gonna face when we get to there. So stay tuned to our channel, and we're gonna show you what we need to do to fit this thing into that black thing. We're gonna face some challenges, but let us know what you think. Let us know if what we should try to do to make it easier for the swap, or let us know if we should be doing something else.